And we're moving now to our last speaker of this session. So it will be Tom Kralidis from the Meteorological Service of Canada. And he's going to tell us about STAC usage and considerations in weather, climate, water workflows. So over to you, Tom.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanna. Can folks see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So I'm Tom Kralidis. I'm with the Meteorological Service of Canada, and today I will give a brief lightning talk on our usage of STAC in weather, climate, and water workflows here at MSC, as well as considerations for using STAC in international weather, water, and climate data exchange activities with the World Meteorological Organization. So firstly, I'll provide an overview of some of our services. We have an API platform here in Canada for our weather, climate, and water data. It's called MSC GeoMet. It's a mission-critical 24/7 platform. It serves a number of the OGC standards, both the first-generation standards as well as the evolving OGC API standards. And we also provide a STAC catalog as part of that API platform. We have over 7,500 layers, whether it's real-time data or archive data, or we have our North American Weather Radar composite that's made available, as well as a high-resolution global forecast model, so our NWP data. We get around 15 million hits per day on the API service. It's publicly available for anybody that wants to use it, and there's a link to the documentation down below. And it's used in our national mobile weather application for Canadians, as well as other downstream applications. We also have a flat file server, which we call MSC Data Mart, which provides all of our real-time and archive data through an HTTP service. We generate around 2.4 terabytes of new data on that infrastructure per day, and we get around 60 million hits per day. There's a documentation link there as well. So these are raw files on an HTTP server, and they're in NetCDF, XML, GRIP2, a number of different formats, and people can use tools such as curl or wget to interact with them or just browse them on their web browser. So what we do in our API platform is basically we've stood up a STAC catalog on top of our flat file HTTP server using the PyGeo API tool. So there's an example of some model data, air temperature. You can see some of the STAC metadata, as well as some foreign members in the rendering. So that's our use of STAC catalog as part of making weather, climate, and water data available through these standards as well. I'll shift gears to MSC's participation in terms of international data exchange. So in the international weather, climate, and water realm, or in the World Meteorological Organization, we're working on something called WMO Information System, which was stood up in initially stood up in 2007. Data exchange in WMO has been around for quite a long time. It was renewed in 2007, and we're in the process of renewing it currently. That includes defining the architecture, the transition plan, and the services that will result for WMO members as well as users. So we have some core principles in WIS2 that we're putting forward: simple data exchange, open standards, use of cloud technologies, APIs, as well as PubSub. So the landscape has obviously changed, which we all know, and WIS2 is sort of positioned to address that changing landscape. I won't get into the details on this diagram, but safe to say that the WIS2 infrastructure will provide global services for all users, including a global discovery catalog, which you can search, spatial searches, temporal searches, attribute searches, and so on. We will have a global broker, an MQTT broker that notifies of all of data as it becomes available on the network, as well as a global cache that people will be able to interact with through messages on the global broker or through searches on the discovery catalog. And this is designed to lower the barrier to the information for the usual suspects in the weather, climate, and water community, as well as beyond those communities, new information communities, the mass market, and general users. A little bit more on publishing data and metadata to WIS2. So we will have heavy usage of PubSub technologies, a lot of classic formats in the weather, climate, and water realm, and we will be using the OGC API records standard to provide the global discovery catalog. So finally, some STAC considerations. We use STAC heavily in MSC for our STAC catalog. We are renewing the architecture and our services for the future for the WMO information system. What are our perspectives on STAC, currently on STAC? STAC is a very powerful ecosystem of standards, strong community, and very viable, which is great to see. We would like to see some clarification on the intersection of the STAC API and the OGC API records. So I'm co-chair of the OGC API records standards working group in the OGC. So we are currently working on that. So I did want to also mention that here. And if anybody has comments or thoughts around that intersection, it would be valuable because there is there is some overlap between them. And we need some clarification on some of the concepts and where to use STAC, where to use OGC API records, and so on. Other areas where some consideration will be valuable are potentially STAC extensions for weather, climate, and water data. So I showed a screenshot of a GRIB2 file, which was basically showing a bunch of foreign members in the STAC item. So can we envision extensions for the weather community around doing STAC item extensions for GRIB2? Or I know there's been work on climate and CMIP, for example. So there's numerous weather, climate, water data types out there. Is there interest from members in our community and other communities to put into extensions for those actual files, the metadata of those files? And finally, is there a role for STAC in PubSub? So PubSub and message queuing protocols are very powerful and allow people to interact with data as it happens. The way that data is made available are through notifications. Those notifications have a payload. Is there appetite for introducing STAC in the payload so somebody can suddenly process STAC items as part of subscribing to a message queuing protocol or a broker service? So those are a few of the considerations that we're discussing, and I thought it'd be interesting to bring this forward to this community here to give you an overview of what's going on in weather, climate, and water data. And I'd like to thank everybody for their time. And there I am on Twitter, so I'd like to thank everybody for their time again, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you very much, Tom, for this presentation, and also for mentioning OGC API records. I understand maybe a lot of people here in this call are not familiar with it, so it was good to point it out. So